Welcome to another episode of Coffee Shop Confessions. Today we're here at Maya Moon off of Adams Avenue.
Drinking some cacao and some coffee. Happy Father's Day, man.
Likewise. Likewise.
Being a dad. Today we're gonna talk about fatherhood
I love it.
and being a realtor and a dad because it's wild. Did you ever think you're gonna be a dad?
I've always wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be a dad as early as I did become a dad.
True.
But I'm so happy it played out the way it did.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah. It's funny. My mom laughs at me all the time because I have 3 kids, and she always tells me can never imagine you with kids because I used to say that I never wanted kids, and not because I don't like kids. I love kids, especially like teenagers. I like goofing off with them. But I grew up. My mom had a daycare at our house since we were kids. So up and through, like, I lived there through college, and there was always little kids disrupting my sleep. Selfishly,
Right.
my mom would have these babies, toddlers crying, and all day. And I'm like, oh my god, I never want kids. In a certain way, it was great because it was birth control. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to get anyone pregnant. But I'll tell you this, man. I think that kids are the biggest gift that anyone can get. I think I've learned more from having children than I'll ever teach them. I don't know if you feel that way.
Absolutely.
And for me, I think as a man, there's a lot of challenges or crucibles that make you a man, or at least teach you how to be a better man. I think for me, one of the bigger ones is marriage. Being married is a challenging and very rewarding event in one's life. But there's nothing as challenging to a man and a mom too. But today we're talking about fathers, as having a kid. Like having a child, and now you're really on the hook, man. Like before becoming a dad, you could just be like, well, no, got to worry about myself and my wife. My wife's an adult; she can really take care of herself if she really needs to. I can take care of myself too. But this kid's relying on me. That's a lot of paradigm shifts that you need to have, and a lot of pressure or to change or to grow. So I always say, man, having children has been probably the most rewarding thing ever.
Absolutely, man. It's one of those things where you, as selfish as most of us are, right? When it comes to your kids, it's like, man, you have to learn how to be the most selfless in a sense.
Yeah.
And going back to what you mentioned in regards to like learning so much, as a father with children and lessons and growing up, it's way different growing up when we grew up, in the 80s, 90s to how it is now, right?
Yeah.
People talk about breaking generational curses, and the way we were raised is very different than we want to raise our children.
Yeah.
Right. So that in itself, it's interesting because I have this constant reminder where it's be that person that you wish you had when you were a child.
Yeah.
Right. Be that person that you wish you had when you were a teenager. And I think, as adults now, we've gone through many experiences growing up and also in our adult lives that, we want to share and teach our kids, how not to do certain things and teach the right way, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's ethics, morals, and just life in general.
Let me ask you, because you said something. What you just said is really, it's really evolved. As a man, I think it's very selfless of you to be a man and to have that awareness and that compassion for your son too, but that self-awareness of, hey, I want to show up for him the way I wish someone would have shown up for me.
Right.
Like, how did you become so evolved? Like, how did you learn that? Or is it instinct? Or did someone model that for you? Or did someone tell you to do that?
Yeah. It's, I grew up, my dad wasn't in the picture. Parents divorced when I was 5. Dad, did his thing up until I was a teenager. Even when our relationship kind of, reconnected, it just, I didn't have that dad in my life.
Yeah.
Right. But I did have male role models. I
Yeah.
did have that example from my grandfather, from my uncle. But at the end of the day, it's different when you want that dad. Right.
Yeah.
And that's when Jacob was born, that's one thing I promised myself. I was like, I'm always going to be that involved dad.
Good.
I'm always going to be
And you are.
that dad that takes him to school,
Yeah.
that shows up to the school events, that shows up to sporting events. I don't care, how busy life gets. That's going to be my priority.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that, like being that person that I wish I had,
Yeah.
right? That essentially evolved me and turned me into the dad I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacob, he plays competitive baseball.
Yeah.
He's been playing travel ball since he was 9. That's very time consuming, especially with our schedules where, we work with a lot of our clients after
After
hours,
hours.
on
Yep.
weekends, right? I can count on my fingers how many tournaments I missed in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting because at this age now, he's about to turn 15 in the next few months. As a young man, I'm trying to teach him that,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying to have him understand what this is. And granted, there's been some life changes in our lives where, his mom and I, we
Yeah.
divorced over the last, 3 years ago. And it's impacted him in a very crucial
Yeah.
stage in his life. But being those two active parents and very, putting Jacob in a sense where it's like, okay, we got you, dude.
Yeah.
Even though mom and dad aren't under the same household,
Yeah.
like we got your back individually, but still collectively.
Yeah.
Right. So, going back, be that person that I wish I had in my teenage years, even though
Yeah.
my parents weren't together.
Yeah, it takes a village, and I heard that. I mean, growing up, I heard that all the time. It takes a village. I'm
Right.
like, it sounded cool. I didn't know what it meant until I became a parent. I remember, and I don't know if you had this moment when you first became a parent, a dad. When my daughter, our firstborn, was born, I had a little mini meltdown. Like, holy shit, this being is really relying on me,
Yeah.
and I don't know everything. I don't know how. I'm not gonna have all the answers to all the questions that she may have, and how am I gonna do that? And then that notion of it takes a village really kicked in, and I made a promise to myself. you know I joke with my wife, with Veto, all the time, like, because I did make this promise to each of my children. I looked at them, I'm like, I love you, I'm always gonna love you no matter what. I'm holding them in my hands when they're newborns. I go, I'm gonna mess you up a little bit, but I promise to mess you up less than I got messed up. But the theory behind the village, though, is that I don't know everything,
Right.
and I don't pretend to know everything. I'm flawed. We're all flawed human beings, but I'm very selective of the men and women I bring into my life around my children, because I want quality people
Right.
to be around my children, because those men, those other women, but mainly the men in my life, they're gonna fill the nooks and crannies that maybe I can't fill
Yeah.
completely for my son or my daughters. So I'm very guarded as to who comes in to the village. But I do now know, like, it does take a village, and I'm part of someone else's quote unquote village, and I'm
Right.
unk vibes, and I fill those gaps for them too. So it's really important. It's really important to have a support system,
Absolutely, man.
family or friends. Oftentimes it's friends, and you choose your chosen family, and they fill in the nooks and crannies,
Yeah.
man. I
No,
mean,
that's totally true. It's
yeah,
totally true because I mean, we can only be spread so thin with teaching. And it's funny, I was just talking to another dad at Jacob had a tournament this past weekend, and he was up to bat. And this dad, it's one of his really good friends dad, who's, again, I know he loves Jacob, and he always tells me, we got Jacob, we love him,
yeah,
he's always welcome at our place. And he was standing behind the backstop, telling Jacob, coaching him a little bit, but
yeah,
being a little stern,
yeah,
and he turns around after he comes up to me, he's like, I just told him everything you would have told him, but I know he's going to get it differently from me.
100%, dude.
So I appreciate that, right? Because again, we're very selective with who we
Yeah,
allow around our children,
yeah.
right? Alignment. Do we align ethically, morally? Do we have the same goals, right?
Principles.
Principles, and 100%.
Yeah,
And those are the type of people that I
yeah,
welcome into my family, in a
yeah.
sense, right?
And it's like
And I
coaches.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like coaches, right? You see good coaches, you see bad coaches, and I've always seen that the really exemplary coaches, um, they know how to communicate and give different cues to each of their athletes
Right.
that make sense for that athlete, right? Instead of just the, hey, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever sport you're in, like, oh, the angle, this. If it doesn't make sense for the kid, you got to use a different cue,
Exactly.
right? And to your friend's point, yes, oftentimes I'll tell my kids something, but they won't receive it from me because like, oh, is dad being
Right.
annoying again, you know?
Yeah.
But then you might come in and say something, and they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense,
100%.
and I'm cool with it because I'm like, yes, the moral of the story is that they receive the goodness, they receive wholehearted advice, and if it doesn't come from me, but it comes from someone in my
Yep.
extended, village, that's what I want.
Absolutely,
I
man.
want my kids to learn and grow and be better. And I had a moment the other day with Mateo. He had a meltdown, and I was just telling him, "Hey, man, the world is really challenging. It can be a really unkind world, especially for men. It can be really unkind. I'm not saying it's easy for women because it's really hard. I'm not saying, and God bless women. I'm just saying that the world is extra mean to men because
Right.
we got to figure shit out on our own oftentimes. And I tell them, hey, you're not alone. You got your dad, and there's one man that absolutely wants you to be better than him, and that's me. I want you to be better than me, so I'm gonna support you. And I hope it resonated with him, right? Because I want him to. I want my all my kids to just excel. The other day too, I was telling Mateo, we got him an e-bike, and he was so happy. And part of me was like, "Ooh, it's a little scary, man." I go scary because he's out in the world and doing his
Yeah.
thing, but I'm concerned about crazy ass drivers who get road rage, right? But that's just part of the world. And but my father-in-law was there when he was about to go on his first ride, and my father was like, "Hey, don't go too far. Be safe. Stay here." And I look at him. I go, "No, no, no. Don't tell him that." I looked at my son. I told him, "No, no, no. You listen to me. Go as far. Go as far as you can go. Test your limits. Go, go. Just go as far. If the battery dies, call me. I'll come pick
Yeah.
you up. Go explore. Go adventure." That's the kind of words that I needed to hear when I was
Right.
a kid. Like I needed to know that the world was mine,
Right.
and whatever success, whatever like accolade, not even the accolades, the joy of life is for me to make.
Right.
I have to go get it.
Yeah.
So I want him, even with the e-bike, just be like, push your boundaries, man. Like go fucking as far as you can go,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He's like, really? I'm like, yes, dude, just go.
No, I feel you, man. I feel you. No, it's cool, especially at this age with boys, right? Mateo
Mhm.
just turned 14.
Yeah,
Jacob's about to turn 15, and it's like, as parents, it's like, man, we're entering that next stage of like them again turning into their own identity, right?
yeah,
I mean, they've already built up the first 14, 15 years of their lives. Now they're going to get tested
yeah,
with
big time.
kids, with girls, relationships,
Yes.
sports. They're getting thrown into a big blend of Jacob's going
Yeah.
into freshman year. He's
Oof.
going from, he went from private school first grade to
Yeah.
sixth grade
Yeah.
to thrown into the wolves
The
to
Wolves
public
middle
middle school.
school.
You
Woo-hoo-hoo.
got seventh, eighth grade, and now you're going to high school,
Oh
which
man.
I believe in him, man, and that's what we have to do with our kids. We have to build them up,
Yeah.
right? We have to show them that we believe in them,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like make them at this age understand. It's like
Yeah.
I'm maybe a little bit harder on you now, only because I wish I had, like you said, I wish I had this when I was your age. I
Yeah.
wish somebody told me X, Y, Z, and that's the same trip I'm on right now with Jacob,
Yeah.
where I want him to really understand that.
Yeah.
I want him over the next 4 years. I want him to be
Yeah.
better than I was graduating senior year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same with that. On that in that vein, with my daughters too. There's no double standard. The way I treat Mateo is the way I treat my girls. So the same freedoms that my son has, my daughters have,
Yeah.
and no double standards because I saw a lot of that growing up, especially. I think dads tend to be double standards. Their boys can do one thing, their daughters can
Right.
do other things, and our culture, Latino, Hispanic culture, there's a lot of double standards. And I promised myself I was not gonna have a double standard with my girls. So I'm open with my daughters. They have a lot of freedoms to explore, to be themselves, and truly because I want them to feel safe around me. I want them to trust me so that if they're ever in trouble, I want them to call me.
one Hundred
I
percent.
want them to know that I've got their back,
Right.
irrespective of whatever trouble they're in. I'm gonna go get them. I'm gonna save them from that, and no questions asked. We'll figure it out because I see it a lot with daughters, with girls that they won't go to their parents
Right.
because of extra shame because of that double standard. So it's hard, and part of that I think too for us as parents is that we have to consistently grow and evolve,
Absolutely.
heal our traumas, deal with our you know you know, the blocks, the psychological blocks that we might have from our childhood or whatever. We have to always address those. We have to develop and evolve as a being here on earth, as a person, as a whole, because then you're part of this whole thing. You know,
Right.
you're not you're you, but you're also your son. You're all, you know,
Yeah,
it's everything.
it is.
We're all interconnected. So we have to heal. We have to grow. We have to evolve so that they see it. They see a model of like, oh, my dad's an older dude, but he's still like
Yeah,
learning new stuff. He's doing new things. He's experimenting. He's growing.
yeah.
He's being healthy. You know,
I think,
so
and at this age, they're a little bit more vocal.
yeah,
And I'm not gonna lie, Jacob calls me out sometimes, like, Dad. I'm like, it instead of reacting more, I do take a step back. I'm like, you know what? You're right.
yeah,
You're right. Let me take a step back and
yeah,
let me explain this to you, right?
yeah,
And that goes into the whole concept of coaching versus parenting, right?
yeah,
What's there's a fine line,
yeah,
but are we being disciplinary
yeah.
in the right way, or are we trying to teach them,
Yeah.
right?
Well, how cool is it that you could model for your son that you can make a mistake and you can course correct? Like, oh, let's take a beat.
Right.
Okay, I messed up. Apologize. I'm sorry. Let's work this out. Or you messed up. Whereas sometimes kids, you know, you feel. I remember being a teenager, being like, "Fuck, if I mess up, like that's it. I'm done, man. Like
Yeah.
there's no way I can fix this."
Yep.
But if you have a parent model that for you at a young age, like, oh, you know what? Mistakes are part of life. Failure is part of
Right.
life. I can take a beat. I could pause. I could adjust. I could pivot and then correct. But man, that's a beautiful gift that you can give to your son.
It is, but like you said, it's constantly evolving, constantly growing. We're doing the work within ourselves, right? And
Absolutely.
having the individuals, the people in our lives that I look up to you as a father.
Oh, thank
You
you,
have
man.
Sada,
Likewise.
that's an adult,
Yeah.
and then I have my other friend David, who has his son going into college. So
Yeah.
I'm really leaning in on here and hearing, listening, right,
Yeah.
uh, and learning
Yeah.
from
But it takes a
people like you
village.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, shit. I had Jacob at 25. I was a kid myself,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. What's the best advice that someone's giving you about being a dad?
there's one. It's early on. I'm gonna go back to when we found out Jacob was
Yeah.
coming and like closer to the due date. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared,
Yeah.
and
I
it
was shitting bricks, bro.
yeah, no, and I'll never forget my brother-in-law. I think it was a week of. He came up to me and he grabbed me by the shoulder. He goes, "Yo, D." He goes, "I'm gonna tell you one thing. The advice I got when my daughter was born, and I've held on to it." He's like, "You're never gonna be ready. You're not gonna be ready the day he's born. You're not gonna be ready, when he turns 5. You're not gonna be ready when he starts high school. But you have to learn, and you have to go with it and guide." I'm
Yeah.
like, man. So obviously,
Oh.
going back to what we were talking about, right? Like, we're never gonna be ready.
Yeah.
If you have one kid like me,
Yeah.
I'm going with it, But luckily, I have you.
Yeah.
I
Thanks,
have
man.
friends
Yeah.
that I can lean on.
Well,
So
I learned from you too, bro. It's symbiotic. You know, I learned a lot from you. It's funny because I got the same advice, very similar. My buddy Francisco, he got married at 19, and he was ahead of me a good 6 7 years with kids and all that. And he sat down with me and he's like, "Look, Miguel," he's like, "it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have. They're gonna suck every dime out of you.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. You could be rich or poor. They're gonna take every bit of coin that you have. They're gonna take it." He's like, "But I'll tell you this." He's like, "Just have fun with them,
yeah,
let them be themselves, and you be yourself with them." I'm like,
right,
oh shit! So I've always taken that, like, oh yeah, I want my kids to know me, who I am,
absolutely,
not like a certain role,
right,
like, oh, just that. I want them to know the full
yeah,
essence of me, with all my flaws and all my nasty stuff, like that, and my traumas and all that shit. I don't put that on them. I don't have them shoulder that. That's my burden to carry and my healing to do. But I'm honest with them.
right,
They know who I am, and I don't pretend to be something I'm not with them, and I'm not. I don't. The one thing I hear a lot that I always hated growing up, and my parents never said this, but I would hear this a lot from adults, was do as I say, not as I do.
yeah,
No, I'm like, nah, that's incongruent, man. And that's essentially what my buddy was telling me, is like, hey, do as you do, and they'll do.
yeah.
They'll do.
That's great advice,
That's
man.
it.
I love that.
Yeah. So, all right, man. David, I love talking. I love talking about being a dad because it's such a gift to
Yeah,
be a
I
father.
love being a dad.
Me too,
Yeah,
and it's such a challenge. It's such a rewarding experience. Sometimes you want to cry because you're like, what the hell's
yeah,
going on? Sometimes you're frustrated. But I would say 80% of the time, it's all
yeah.
laughs, pure comedy, pure joy. So we want to wish all you fathers out there, the uncles, the friends who are, you know, helping us, you know, raise our children, all the friends who are supporting dads. Want to wish you guys, because you guys are fathers too, in a way, you know. So we want to wish you guys a very, very happy Father's Day, and just be out there loving on your kids and loving on
Yeah.
yourselves.
Happy Father's Day, guys. We'll catch you at the next coffee shop.